Welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts playthrough. I'm
Oh,
awful tired.
I gotta say that wasn't motivating anyone. Kingdom Hearts playthrough right now. Let's go. Here we go. So you did everything, got everything, all Dalmatians, all Trinities. Sadly, there is no like reward or like a cash-in place for the Trinities. What you get from them are their only rewards, but you get a trophy, so that's what you want.
Yes. Here's a quick little tip to make some extra cash. There's a certain reward you get from the Dalmatians, but before you give back the last of the Dalmatians to claim this reward, sell all the gummies possible. Just sell them all. Every last one of them. They're worthless, but in the grand scheme of things, if you sell all of them, I'd say you probably get 1,000 or so out of the deal. And yeah, it's just one of those things I thought of to get the make the playthrough look like, you know, profesh.
Yeah, it's a very interesting idea. I never thought about it. I guess because I never thought about it. I knew the full gummy set gave you everything. I never knew it gave you like, but duh, of course it does.
Yeah, it's one of the, and it's like each individual piece is like what, 4?
Yeah.
At this point.
But you're right. Just sell them all.
And again, you probably wouldn't think to do it because they're just so worthless money-wise. But if you if you sell them all in bulk, it makes the difference. Because really, with Sid, you only have to buy like the power-ups and whatnot.
Yeah, it went up to 8,000. That's pretty. I'd say it's useful because there's actually another trophy requiring you to have a certain amount of money on you.
Yeah, it's like 10,000.
Yeah, and it's not a lot, like in the scheme of reality, but for the sake of buying everything you need to buy, it actually kind of is. Because you have to make some big purchases for like 4,000 money later on in the game.
Well,
for trophy purposes.
Yeah, for trophy purposes.
So, like, again, just another tip is just if you want trophies, just don't spend money yet.
Which is another point for earlier versions that didn't even have trophies, so you didn't even need to worry about that.
That's true. Trophies have ruined me.
Yeah.
I can barely even play games.
You platinum Bayonetta. That's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. I am quite skilled, yes, but I don't have 2 yet. Comment section. How's 2? I heard it was great. Is it really as great as people say?
I don't know. I don't have a Wii U.
A Wii U. Aw, I like his little bonus cutscene.
Yeah, this was nice.
So cute.
They are adorable.
Lazy parents, but okay.
Lazy. What could they do?
Well, considering there were some in Traverse Town.
That's a good
They're
point,
dogs.
actually. And there you go, a complete gummy collection. Not just one of every single piece there is, but a full stock of them.
Yep. Full stock, one of everything, and as a wind upgrade, I believe. Yep, so definitely I'd say very worthwhile payoff for the 99 Dalmatians.
Definitely.
But
and there's always that, I was talking to this guy, I swear to God, I was talking to this guy, and I talked to him about the Dalmatians, like, what did you think of the Dalmatian? He was like, it's so fucking stupid, there's 101 of them. He said it with a straight face. He wasn't even kidding. He's like, there's 101 Dalmatians and you only get 99. And I'm sitting there like, are you fucking serious?
Well, there are 101 Dalmatians.
There are, but he's not counting Pongo and Peretta.
Hey, okay, well, I won't defend him since it was probably a grown adult, but when I was younger, that confused me, I will admit. Remember when I was little, I thought to myself...
This is why I only talk to you about Kingdom Hearts. Other people just annoy me.
Is a really good thing to say on the internet, too.
Yes. I will be honest. I will not sugarcoat things.
Yeah. I will commentate.
I will talk to fans who aren't trying to piss me off. That's about it.
Yeah, and you know what? He speaks wise words. And let me warn you guys out there who are watching: don't assume you know anything about the series, and then post it online. And that we're stepping into danger territory discussing things right now.
Don't care.
I'm just saying,
Go with it.
We're gonna find that one fan who has the answers.
And when he says don't assume, just like don't jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
Like you automatically know everything. You don't know everything.
Yeah.
Have the backup, because that's what pisses me off. Is like, okay, totally fine. Call me out if I'm wrong on something. Do it. Just have the backup. If it's eligible and it's correct, and I was legitimately wrong, fine. But if you're so convinced about something that you won't accept the truth, and it's what you grew up believing, and you just don't believe me, and blah blah blah, stuff like that. You know, just don't even talk to me. We're wasting the whole conversation. You're wrong. I know you are, and you're not going to believe the correct answer because it's not what you think is right. It's a waste of time both ways.
Very true.
This is, of course, when you quote unquote fail the Sniper Wild gimmick. These things are monsters.
They do, and they will continually shoot at you
until you leave the area. Yep. And you can't hide anywhere. You have to leave.
Very frightening, especially the first time through.
And I would assume you get the Power Stone from them, but don't quote me on that.
Yeah, I don't know either. So have you synthesized anything yet?
No, but I thought I'd show it off a little. The 2 things I can synthesize. They add more and more recipes, depending on how many you've already made. In order to unlock the ultimate weapon recipe, you need to have synthesized everything else. However, to get to everything else, I think it's like 3 or 4. And then you get another 6 recipes. And then once you've reached 8, you get even more, something like that.
Yeah, I think it is like that. Like every time, like, you unlock more as you make more. But sadly, if you want the ultimate weapon, you're just gonna have to make everything. So
I will say this: the design is pretty gosh darn cool.
For an ultimate weapon?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, very cool. I agree.
I like it.
Also very clever, I think, the way.
Because, like, I won't show it off in this playthrough, obviously, because that would take up at least another 10 parts if I kept that footage. But, yeah, it's like a sword. Yeah, and it's got this crazy gold wrapping.
Yep, and
that
makes it look like a key, and it's just very cool. I think the fact that it's it's a sword is kind of a throwback to it's kind of RPGs in general.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate weapon is a sword, makes sense. And as you probably noticed, as he was panning the camera around, the second, seed board, whatever you call it, had the Hades thing on it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot bigger. It's because the Hades Cup is a 50 seed match. That not really a stamina match. You can leave. It allows you kind of like checkpoint your progress every like 10 seeds, but still. Every
10. Like, the 10th seed of each round, I guess, is a boss.
Yes.
Once you beat that boss, you save your progress via checkpoint.
Yeah.
And I say checkpoint, well, we mean checkpoint in the fact that Phil will start you off at, like, seed 40 if you beat the first 10, 30 if you beat the first 20.
Bullshit, I think, personally. I don't know why Sora gets all that special treatment. But
that's very true, actually.
But yeah, this is a very fun last kind of like the last, like, I don't know, do all RPGs have this equivalent, like the one final tournament match, like the end game tournament match?
A good number of them, I would say. Probably not all of them. Like, there are some like Coliseum-esque areas. For Pokemon, you've got a few post-game things, like an X and Y recently. There's, I actually forget the name of the place, but you go there, you battle, and then you face these 4 sisters, depending on which type of challenge you took. And you'll meet each sister at the end of those rounds. In Emerald version, I never had Ruby or Sapphire, the original versions anyway. But that Emerald had the Battle Frontier, which was comprised of 7 different, for lack of a better term, Coliseums, each with their own little gimmick thrown in. One was just battling. One was just having your Pokemon battle. Like, you couldn't tell them what to do. You just kind of had to rely on them to do their thing and win. Which I thought was interesting, but very, very nerve-wracking, I'll be honest. To just put down the Game Boy and like, oh my god, I hope
like
this
the
works.
last hit, and then Pikachu uses Growl.
Yeah, pretty much. I wouldn't take a Pikachu to any of those things, just saying.
Yeah, apparently Pikachu sucks.
He
competitively.
does. Yeah. Yeah, Final Fantasy VII, I played some of that. I haven't beaten it because I suck. But, I think it's like the Golden Sump or other. Or maybe another area. But there is, an arena of some type that's similar. It's just a gauntlet of enemies here and there.
So yeah, that's what, like I said, this is kind of what it is. It's not... You know, I do say that you don't actually have to go through all 50, but there is actually a point when you do.
Yeah.
And that's when you do the time trial for this. It does force you to go through without dying, which... It's not easy, definitely.
Nope.
Especially at the level you are right now, which is, I would say, probably like the level even maybe a little lower than what you're supposed to be.
Oh, yeah.
This would probably be near impossible. But, like I said, it's endgame, so they expect you to be pretty much endgame, so...
Don't even bother trying to do the time trial until you're level 100. You only get, what is it, 20 minutes, 25?
Yeah, 20, I think. Yeah.
50 matches, 20 minutes. You people do the math.
Yeah, if you want to avoid frustration, you might as well just wait till your level fits it. Even for the earlier cups, I remember recently I did them for the, I guess just to do them, because there's not really any trophies associated. But I did them, and I'm very close. I believe you get like 3 minutes for the all like the 3 normal ones that are just 10 seeds. And it's just hard, way harder than I would have thought. Oh, here you can do it. Ding, 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 ding. Psh. Oh, he didn't even come down and give you an item? Or does he always just explode?
It's a cup. You don't get items.
Well, I know, but didn't even do the animation for dropping down and going.
No, they just explode and drop an item.
Explode with items in that. Okay. This was lame.
I think it's funny.
I think, well, because it shows how stupid she is. She's like one of the worst bosses. Because she has like the worst hit stun. I think her her cartwheel move is the only thing that like doesn't hit stun.
And it's Yuffie with the motherfucking worm. This fight is slightly different in that she's throwing multiple shuriken. I don't think she did that in the match with her and Leon.
I don't know, actually. Right, it doesn't look familiar, but I don't really pay attention to what she does.
And I counter your long-range move with mine. This is Strike Raid. I bring down judgment on your wannabe style. Like...
I wannabe what style? Ninja style?
Yeah. Well, like, some people argue that her outfit's a bit skimpy, and I can kind of agree with that, but if you step back for a minute and remember that she is supposed to be a ninja, she's supposed to be nimble, it's kind of how they're supposed to dress.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That's interesting. I never... Like, whatever, I guess it's not that bad.
Like, it's still slightly suggestive, and she's out in the open all the time, so I can understand the complaints.
Oh, she's like, what, 10 or something? No. I don't know how
Like
old she's supposed to be. Probably only like Story's age.
A few matches later, and we come to this, the first boss of the Hades Cup.
Oh my god. He's back! With flames!
Alright, I don't know about you, but I find it strange that Ansem was able... He either devoured a world, or found a world that had a big old store with a giant flame rod tile that says, "Pimp my Heartless." And that's how he got this hot rod.
That is so true. There's so many different behemoths.
Yeah, and in the journal, it's actually a different variant of behemoth. It's labeled differently.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's all part of the recoloring, sort of.
Sort of, but for some reason, like others, like the Stealth Soldier, well, I'm actually not sure if that's the actual name. I'm guessing it's Stealth Soldier. But the Stealth Soldier got its own entry. That's fine. It's not just a recolor. It's something different. With Behemoth, this was just a regular Behemoth in the original game.
Yep.
And then they changed it to this guy, and for some reason it's classed as a totally different Behemoth. I don't get it.
Yeah, and well, I believe the journal will say something like, "Oh, this behemoth is." But I mean, I would assume it would. Other than that, it's just pointless attitude. I guess they, you know what? I guess they were just trying to cater to the people who really like looking at the models through the like the guide thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I did like that feature.
it was cool.
And this, even though it's really just ridiculous to the max, I do like this. I do like this coloring of the behemoth.
I do. It is pretty cool. I will. Yeah.
It's just fun to look at.
But it is totally just like pimped up flames.
Hot rod flames.
There's one more, right? I believe, or like two more.
Well, there's one more variant of this thing. But no, I'm pretty sure I actually have to fight the behemoth 3 more times. Yeah, this fight went on for quite a while, and so you're not missing much.
Nah,
just more of the same.
The only really move I think he has that's actually kind of hard to dodge is his lightning move. Yeah. That one requires like half luck and also like the most precise dodge roll.
It's almost like, okay, I hear you can dodge the blue shell with in Mario Kart with a very, very well-timed boost. I've never been able to do it. It's not quite that bad, but it's very similar with this lightning attack. Because it's like, it's weird. With Ursula and her giant lightning vortex, or whatever you'd call it, it's just kind of a shockwave in a sense that, well, it's similar to Hercules, bear blasting, that it just kind of has a set range. Whereas Ursula's looks like it's just hitting several spots, it's just one big area of damage. With Behemoth, it's similar to that, I would say, probably, because it always seems like there's that one lightning bolt that homes in on you.
Yeah, I think that is what makes it the most frustrating, is that it is like, for some odd reason, I mean, I was just say odd, it makes sense, but like they aren't randomly placed, like you were saying. There is one that will home in. But I've done it. You can, if you dodge roll at the right moment, you will avoid it. Or you can just go far enough away.
I don't know. Here's the thing about bosses, just to continue to try and fill in time. There is a, there's something I kind of clicked onto where people complain about boss design for several reasons. Physics for some, tedium and others. People absolutely hate the Riku versus Trickmaster fight, and I can totally empathize with that. But in regards to bosses like, say, not to give any names, even though it's not much of a spoiler since it's a remake of the game, but the secret boss in Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, the very last secret boss. People hate that thing for being so overpowered and whatnot. I wouldn't call that a bad boss. To me, maybe not so much for what the boss is. It's a tad misplaced in this respect, but to me, I think that's what a boss should be. A challenge that's trying to kill the protagonist.
I agree.
But in the context of a video game, people have a problem with that because they're expected to win this fight.
Yeah, no, that, I think if you really want to insult a boss, you're going to have to notice why you... I mean, you can't look at why you think it's bad. You have to look at why it would be bad to any player.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, yeah, no, it's because you always got to do this because there are badly designed bosses in games.
Oh yeah, Kingdom Hearts is no exception.
Yeah, there's a few in here that are like, I remember there's like a last boss in the game I had that he had an attack that was just unavoidable.
Yeah,
and it was just like, and it's like that was the only essence of difficulty for that fight.
And a couple of things you got to realize about this: it's a completely optional boss. It's allowed to be as powerful as the developers want it to be.
That's true.
If it was required, then I would have a much bigger problem with it. But calling something OP just because you can't beat it, and okay, I'm not getting this across without sounding like people are bad at games, get good. That's not what I mean when I say that. I mean that in the sense that when you fight something like that, don't call it OP because you can't beat it. How do I put it? I understand the term OP and why it's used. I understand why people would get frustrated for something like that. What I don't get is why why they would expect the developers to nerf if they got a bunch of complaints. Like, this boss was way too hard. You're not required to beat it.
Oh, well, I don't know. For the sake of that boss that we're talking about right now, I personally think he's perfectly designed. I think he's hard, but he's just... You're right, he's hard because he's a secret hard boss.
Mm-hmm.
But he's fair. Honestly, though...
A lot of people would argue with you there.
I personally, aside from the fact that he's just, like, hard, that it requires, like, extreme... Like, you have to be pretty devoted to the series to like, do good against him.
Develop the right skill sets.
Yeah, like,
and
aside from that, I'd say... Well, like, the reason I brought this up is because I do personally think there is a secret hard boss in the series which was not designed well.
Hmm. I know exactly which one you're talking about.
And I think this is the good step of where, like, again, it's hard to see without actually the fights, like, available to see, but if you know what we're talking about, that one, and then one from the handheld game, Birth by Sleep, which, again, if you know enough about the series, you probably have already heard of both of them, but I won't say the names just to not spoil it. But I'd say the difference between those two is that the one from Birth by Sleep is just... He wasn't designed to be fair to the player.
No, he wasn't.
But the fight, at least, like, at that one, attacks can be dodged, damage can be tanked to some degree, and you can do damage with him with just your normal Keyblade and stuff like that.
A boss like the one that you were talking about, the one from Birth by Sleep, that is a different case. That, I think, is a poorly designed boss. It's cheap in the sense that its attacks cannot be avoided, period.
And plus,
at least in my experience, there's always just this one attack, and sometimes he'll even open up with it. I don't think it's avoidable. It's like another one of the split-second things that's even worse than, like, the Behemoth Lightning.
Yeah, he has an attack which
it snags you and you're dead.
Yeah, and like, without avoiding what it is, there's a ability combo that is introduced in Kingdom Hearts 2, which pretty much prevents you from getting gang raped.
Pretty much.
Just to be as gamey about it as possible. Like, just to prevent it so you can't, like, make one group and, like, die from, like, a cheap combo, they added these abilities that stop that from happening.
Exactly.
But for some reason, the guy in the boss in Birth by Sleep has a move that, like, just bypasses them and you just die.
Yeah.
And the issue is that they made it so he just does damage and your health just goes to 0. It's just bad design.
Yeah.
And that's why I personally think that the fight in Kingdom Hearts 2 is just way better. Isn't that bad because I don't know, it's like what you said, he's hard, but because he is a secret boss. I don't think he's hard because there's something unfair about him.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, I can't say I had the most happy time trying to defeat him the first time.
Yeah, that was definitely a satisfying victory.
It was a few long days trying to stop him, but you're right, very satisfying.
And yeah, and you know, it's hard not to come across as, you know, that kind of guy that's like, well, just get good at games, but I don't know, there's a difference between critical complaints and just people who whine because they can't win.
No,
you know what I mean?
No,
I'm not pointing any fingers, but you people are around, you know who you are, and you need to shut up.
Yeah, like, no, I kind of, again, it is hard to get this across, but what I think he's trying to say is that it is true, like, for all use the Souls series, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, that's like the joke. That someone will complain online, people say good, but honestly, at some point, that's what you need to say to someone. Just learn the patterns, play the game, get better reflexes. I know for some physical things, they can never achieve those reflexes.
Some games just might not be for you.
Yeah, it's not for you, and that's what I'm. But
if it frustrates you, don't play it anymore. Come back to it later when you're...
And it's just, if you're, like, the only one complaining about it, then, like I said, it's gonna come out soon. But there's a point when the only answer to you is just play better. I think that's entirely true.
Play better. Go to FAQs. You know, that's what they're for. Not just to cheat, but for people who legitimately need help with games.
Yeah.
And it's people have their skill sets. Like, this is what I always loved. I don't think, like, my dad never played Kingdom Hearts or anything. Back in the day, my dad would play a lot of my video games for me because I was just bad. And one of my favorite complaints that he would make, because, like, it's kind of a scary future, I imagine, for myself, but his complaint is, like, his thumbs are too big for the controller. Like, he keeps hitting the wrong button. And I believed him, but I always thought it was funny at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, well, that's definitely a possibility.
That could happen one day. Yeah. That's what you're right. Won't happen to me, though. I have really small hands. So, I guess that's the one positive thing. I guess play video games for the rest of my life.
Oh, and here
which
we
is
go
sadly
again.
The only thing that'll be available.
It's derp armor.
Derp armor.
I love this guy.
I totally forgot you had to fight him in here. Pretty intense.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is So what do you like the fact that it's for like the different like seeds, it's changing like the time of day and stuff?
Yeah. Even though it is just like 50 straight fights, unless you take a break, like we said, after every boss. Going through the 50 straight fights, there's not much they can do except throwing in different enemy teams to make it exciting. But I did like how they did change the arenas for each 10 rounds. I thought that was a really, really good way to use what they could to make it a bit more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty neat. It does kind of help the pacing, or kind of help the flow. So it does kind of feel like, yeah, it feels less stale. And I mean, that's assuming this is long, but honestly, if you enjoy the gameplay, you're probably going to be having a blast.
Yeah. And there are tons of different types of gamers who just hate gauntlets like this. And in that case, don't do it. You don't have to do it. Like, it's really... There's one purpose to this particular cup. And that's why it's so long.
Yeah, and interesting enough, as you can see, we did end this world with the Hercules Cup. We sealed the keyhole and all that.
Exactly.
But Hades' house hasn't been dealt with.
No, he hasn't.
I mean, given the name of the cup, I think you can imagine what's going to happen sometime during this cup. But
yep.
Again, I guess, well, I would say personally, the end of the world is when you lock the keyhole. If you really want like the actual closure for Olympus Coliseum, do this, because this kind of wraps everything up in a nice little Sora's the best bow. Even better than Hercules.